Good morning. My name is Janet Lovell Barrett. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a white woman of ample age and experience with hair to match, wearing black from head to toe except for a Prussian blue stole and a brooch with large blue stones passed down in my family. I'm happy to serve as worship associate this morning and to call us to worship. I invite you to take a breath with me and center yourselves fully in this moment. As we gather this morning, may we be reminded that we are held in an interdependent web that sustains us through the cycles of the year, through sun and rain, through summer's heat and winter's cold, through suffering and joy, through struggles and triumphs, and through setbacks and victories. Together, may we resist despair, resist demands for perfection and constant productivity. May we resist apathy and self-righteousness. May we resist all the old isms that diminish and demean us. Together, may we rest and rise, laugh and cry, shout and sing. Together, may we welcome each opportunity to strengthen the web that holds us. Let us begin today. A flaming chalice has been one symbol of Unitarian Universalism for many decades, a symbol of hope, of reason, of the spark of the divine that shines in all of us. We join our siblings in faith each Sunday by lighting our chalice here in our sanctuary. And for those joining us online, we invite you to light a flame wherever you are, as we kindle our flame with these words adapted from Deborah Burrell. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us the path we forge together when we resist the forces that would isolate and destroy us. May this bright flame invite our spirits to dance with defiant joy. Now would you rise in body or spirit to sing with conviction and with energy our wonderful hymn, Fire of Commitment, in the Teal hymnal, number 1028.
Sets our mind Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that. What did you say, Janet? Energetic singing? That was beautiful, and thank you, Michael. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. We are a people of many different ages, histories, genders, bodies, identities, and beliefs. And we are united in our commitment to our mission to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. My name is Reverend Beth Monholland. My pronouns are she, hers. I am a short, middle-aged white woman with dark curly hair and glasses, and I have the deep honor of serving as the lead minister to this congregation. If you're a visitor today, either here in our sanctuary or joining us online, I want to bid you a special welcome. Feel free to complete a guest card. You'll find those here in the room in the back of the pews, or the ushers will have one. Fill that out and drop it in the offering plate if you'd like to stay connected to the church and learn more about the life of this congregation. As I said, we are a congregation of all ages, which means we welcome the potential noises and distractions that kids can bring into a Sunday morning. Young people are always welcome to stay here for the entirety of a service, and if no matter your age, you need to keep your hands busy to pay attention or to just focus, you're welcome to grab a coloring and activity packet under the table in the entryway. And if you need to stretch your legs, or you're feeling crowded in this space, or just need to attend to your body's needs, you're also welcome to join the live stream of the service across the entryway in Fellowship Hall. We do typically have Sunday morning faith development classes for kids and youth. That is on hiatus at the moment until January 25th. And so today, kids will, if they're here, there's not a lot of you about, will stay here with us. But again, if you need to move around, you're welcome to go to Fellowship Hall. And for our young people, our teenagers who might be with us today, our coming of age class was planning to meet, but that is just canceled for today due to illness. So yay, you get to stay here with us. It's like an extra New Year's gift to you and to all of us. Our nursery, though, is available for little ones 5 and under this morning if families and caretakers think that's a better choice for the very small ones. And now that I have greeted you, I'm going to invite you to greet each other. If you're joining us online, please drop a hello and say who you are and where you're coming from in the chat. And here in the room, I'll ring our chime, and I invite you to turn to a neighbor, or if you're feeling sprightly, get up and move around the room, and just wish someone a happy new year, and maybe ask how it is with folks' spirits today. I'll ring the chime again when it's time for us to come back together. Thank you for those lively greetings, everyone. You are, of course, invited to keep those conversations flowing immediately after service during our fellowship hour. We'll have coffee and tea and lots of snacks for you, and it is a wonderful opportunity to be in fellowship with each other. And now I want to invite Janet back to the pulpit for our Time for All Ages this morning.
The Time for All Ages is a very visual experience this morning. It's inspired by The Resistance of a Dandelion Seed by Reverend Michelle Collins. There is a crack in the world where light finds its way through. Not wide, not welcoming, just enough. The seed arrives on wind, lands in darkness between stone and stone, and begins its work in secret. Roots press downward through grit and shadow, seeking moisture in places meant to be barren. They do not ask permission. They do not apologize for their hunger or for their being. Slowly, the green crown pushes upward, meeting resistance at every fraction of an inch. The concrete does not yield willingly. It groans. It cracks infinitesimally. But the stem continues. What emerges is not delicate in the way we imagine delicacy. It is yellow and honest, opening its face to the sun despite the hardness all around. Cars pass, feet land nearby. The flower remains, making its small declaration that life persists even when it's told it cannot. That softness breaks what hardness cannot bend. That beauty grows not in spite of the cold and unrelenting pavement, but directly through it, transforming a barely visible crack into a doorway. When the blossom fades, it does not disappear. It transforms into a constellation of possibilities. Each seed carries the memory of stone splitting, the knowledge that what seems permanent can be challenged and broken through. The wind rustles. The next crack wakes. The work continues in 1,000 directions at once, patient and relentless.
Thank you, Janet. We've come to the time in our service where we practice spiritual generosity. We do this each week by making space for our joys and sorrows, for the wholeness of what we carry with us when we gather as people. Today, we'll sing our blessing song, May the Longtime Sun, and you'll be invited to come forward to the table, either here at the chalice table or in the back, and we'll drop a stone for our sorrows or a petal for our joys in the bowls of water, and trust that just as they are held, we are held in love in this community. We will also read aloud joys and sorrows that folks would like to share after our offering today. And so if there is a joy or sorrow you want shared aloud, feel free to write that on a card, or if you're joining us online, and even if you're here in the room, you can email us at joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. I do, though, want to take a moment in this time of joy and in this time of sorrow to lift up some of the collective sorrows that we might be feeling after this wild, turbulent week. A week ago today, I stood here and shared grief for our invasion, I don't even know what to call it, of Venezuela. And since then, those attacks have continued. We have bombed ISIL in Syria. We have empowered the forces of state-sanctioned violence to continue to kill people in the streets of America. None of that is new. It's old grief that police and extra-military police can kill people on the streets of America is as old as police forces in America. But just because it is old doesn't mean we don't feel it deeply and sharply in our hearts and our bodies today. And so, while Immigration and Customs Enforcement killed nearly 36 people who were in their custody last year, they have shot dead 2 that we know of people this year. And so for that deep sorrow, I'm going to ask Janet to light one of our pillars for us this morning. And then for the joy that we have, that we can come together, that there are people, ordinary, everyday people, just like those of us in this room, resisting those forces, we will light a candle of joy. And once those candles are lit, Micah will begin to play. We'll sing our song or just let the music wash over us. And if you feel as if your body needs to move, then come forward and drop a stone or a petal into our bowls of water. Thank you.
We live our mission in this congregation by connecting day to day and week to week through the opportunities both within and beyond our walls. We invite you to subscribe to and read the weekly e-news to stay up to date on all the activities offered through Faith Development and all of our congregational life and social action councils. This morning's highlights include the following. This spring, we are offering OWL classes for kindergarten through first grade and also fourth and fifth graders. Classes will be held on Sundays from 4 to 5:30, starting on February the 1st. A family orientation for both classes will be held on Sunday, January 25th. Everyone's welcome to join us for our next See You at the Movies this Friday, January 16th from 6 to 9 p.m. in Fellowship Hall. We'll be viewing the amazing animated film, K-Pop Demon Hunters. So at home, practice your 3-octave song of Golden. Be ready. Hot dogs, freshly popped popcorn, and soda will be supplied, and please RSVP so that we can plan for the head count. Read more details about these and other events and check out the full calendar of events in Realm. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. And in January, our shared offering partner is Planned Parenthood of Illinois, which continues to provide medical services and community education and outreach for thousands across our state. As reproductive health and gender-affirming care face constant attacks at the national level, Planned Parenthood of Illinois remains a beacon of care in our region. You can give through Realm and also through the online portal on our website. If you're here in our sanctuary, a basket will be passed, and checks can be made out to UUCUC, and in the memo line, put shared offering. Half of all non-pledged donations will go towards sustaining the work of our church, and the other half will go directly to the shared offering partner. The ushers will come forward as our offertory music begins, and we invite you to give whatever is generous for you, and this is also time to submit a written joy or sorrow.
Thank you all for your generosity, for all the ways that you support the life of this church. And now I will share some of the joys and sorrows folks would like shared aloud. If you still have a card or an email you want to send, please do so. A joy from Roxy Howard. It was joyful to see Unitarian Universalists in cities across the nation standing up for good and opposing evil. And a sorrow from Rita and Veet. Great sorrow for the murder of Renee Good by ICE. A sorrow shared anonymously in remembrance of our son Jacob, who would have been 19 years old last week. A joy from Melissa Watson. I'm grateful to teach the upcoming kindergarten through first grade OWL class for the second time. It is a true privilege to serve my community's families and children. The OWL. If you all are not familiar what OWL is, it stands for Our Whole Lives. It's the best comprehensive sexuality education kind of anywhere on the planet, so yay you use for creating that. Here's a joy. A joy from Chris Carlson, thankful that we could spend a recent week with both of our kids and their partners, a first. And a joy from Anna Brubaker, who Anna and her wife live in Florida and will be moving here this summer. So they have been joining us online for months. And Anna says, though we're not yet official church members, Karen and I would like to share the joy of a new grandson born January 8th to wonderful first-time parents, our son and bonus daughter. Good things are still happening. That's like the third baby we've gotten this new year, everybody. And speaking of babies, this is a joy from Sam Bashir. Sam Bashir's, my wife Lynn is in Chicago with her hands full of our brand new grandson. And again, to echo Anna, joyful things are still happening. And speaking of joy, I have one more from Winona, who says, Winona, are you in here? I thought I saw you come in earlier. There she is. Hi, Winona. Winona says, I'm excited to share I got into a special ballet training. Yay! Congratulations, young Winona. I'm just checking the emails one more time. That's what we have at this moment. Thank you all. And for everything that we've shared aloud today, for what we are still and always silently carrying in our hearts, I offer a blessing. I say thank you. And I'll invite us to take just a moment of silence for each other. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. That is a song written by Brian Claflin and Ellie Grace. It's one of the songs that I have been singing to myself and playing on repeat, both their original version and the various choirs and march versions of it that you can find on YouTube. It is indeed going to be a hard road. It is indeed already been a hard road. We know that. And being together in intentional, joyful community makes that road and that load we're carrying easier to bear. This month's worship theme is resisting tyranny. No, it's just resistance. Today's title is Resisting Tyranny. It feels like it's all. But practicing resistance together, and it feels like we've been building up to this. Throughout this church year, we started by exploring belonging, how we, within ourselves and in our communities, create home together. We moved on to explore compassion, how we have compassion for ourselves, and then how we take compassion into those communities we've been building, how that nurtures our gratitude for what we have despite life's hardships, and how we nurture hope. Hope that isn't some false positive that says everything's okay, but that looks at the world as it is and says there are more possibilities we can create together. And part of how we create those possibilities, the world that can be, the world that should be, is by resisting the forces that will dehumanize us, that will tear us down. The forces we built. We talk about systems all the time as if they're out there, something, but systems are people. They're us. And while those systems that we have created enable a small group of people to hoard power and commit atrocities, they are not the only reality. As Roxy said in her joy today, there are people all over the country, all over the world, not just Unitarian Universalists, but ordinary, everyday people who are saying, this is enough. People who have been saying that for decades and decades. And that can be like, holy shit, pardon my language, everybody. But does that mean we're going to do this forever? It means we are going to do it until we are all free. And while that can feel, as I said in my letter yesterday, like we're just futilely swimming upstream, it also gives me hope. Returning to that hope that says other people have fought similar battles and come out on this side where we are, and we will do the same. Because our fear is real. The anger and rage we feel are valid. Those are appropriate responses in this moment where authoritarianism from our own government is wreaking havoc on families and communities here in America, but across the world. Fear and rage and grief are valid responses. And they are a kind of fuel for our fire, but they are not a sustainable fuel. And that's why we need belonging and compassion and hope and gratitude, because those fuel the love and connections. They fuel that interdependent web that does indeed hold us. They fuel the resistance that reminds us we too are like a dandelion seed, and the sidewalk and the concrete and the harsh conditions of the world cannot destroy us. We can break through that. We have before, we will again. We are right now. And there are lessons in our history, lessons from wise people, from folks we might not call prophets, but who have shown us the way, who are showing us the way. And if you have not read Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, which he wrote just a few years ago, he's a sociologist and historian, and On Tyranny is a short little book that is 20 lessons from the 20th century. I highly recommend it. He does indeed have 20 short lessons in there, and the very first one is something you might have heard in these last few years, which is do not obey in advance. Do not obey in advance, and he details in that lesson from the 20th century the ways in which the German government and everyday German people ceded power to the Nazi Party before the Nazi Party demanded it, so that by the time the Nazi Party was demanding power, they already had more than they started with. We do not obey in advance. We resist and make it harder for the people who want to hoard power, for the people who look at us and don't see other humans. We make it harder for them to do what they are trying to do. But one of the other lessons One of the other lessons from On Tyranny, I think, is echoed by one of our Unitarian ancestors, Henry David Thoreau. Some of you may have heard of him. If you're of a certain age, you probably had to read lots of his essays. But Thoreau was indeed a Unitarian, friends with Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a Unitarian minister, if you did not know. And Thoreau was a Harvard grad with Emerson. He was steeped in theology, and he became a philosopher and a writer. And he was also, if you did not know, an ardent abolitionist. And Thoreau made public statements against the institution of slavery, against the federal government that enabled it in the South. He spoke out against the Fugitive Slave Act, and in his own private journals, he detailed how he himself was active on the Underground Railroad, hid people in his home, made sure that escaped enslaved people were able to get to Canada to freedom. He did not obey in advance, and what else he did, though, as Snyder put it, was he behaved in a corporal way. He put his body on the line. Thoreau wrote in an 1849 treatise that was called Resistance to Civil Government. Could have written it right now. But he said, if injustice is part of the necessary friction of the machine of government, let it go. Let it go, perchance it will wear smooth. But if it is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say, break the law. Let your life be a counter friction to stop that machine. Lesson 13, that's what that is On Tyranny. Practice corporal politics. Let your body and your actions and your communities be in alignment for what is right. When and if you can, march. When and if you can, show up for other people. Because if we don't, as Snyder says On Tyranny, Snyder says, once your body is suffering in your chair and your emotions dissipating on the screen, get outside, put your body in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people, and make new friends. And that is what Thoreau kept doing. I know he's known for going into Walden and being in the woods and learning from nature, but he also did that so he would be renewed to go back into his community and be in relationship with people who were working and marching and keeping the function of the machine grinding to a halt. And another Unitarian who also practiced those kinds of corporal politics was someone I've preached about before, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who was born a free Black woman in Baltimore and who spent most of her life in Philadelphia, although she toured the country from the early age of about 21, honestly, until her death 70 years later, advocating for abolition, advocating for women's right to vote, advocating for labor reforms, for child labor laws to be enacted. Every major social and political movement in America in the 20th century, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper was part of. She built coalitions with people across religious and political divides. She was an active member of First Unitarian of Philadelphia and also a member of the First African-American Methodist Episcopal Church there. She had deep religious beliefs that called her into being in her values with other people. And she gave a speech, a very beautiful speech at a women's suffrage campaign in 1868 where she said, "We are all bound up in one great bundle of humanity. What we do to another, we do to ourselves." And so we have to be practicing corporal bodily politics for resistance, for liberation, for all people. Part of what Frances Watkins Harper did was also contribute to good causes, which is lesson 18 in Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny. We can't all march. We're not all called to march for all the same causes, but we can all contribute in the communities where we are to work that matters, to work that is important, to the work of other people who are doing their best to grind that machine of tyranny to a halt. And so Frances Ellen Watkins Harper participated in multiple organizations and causes. She helped found the American Women's Suffrage Organization. That was the multiracial organization for women's suffrage. In Philadelphia, she worked in soup kitchens. She gave her time and the money she earned from her speeches to children's schooling, to educating freed African Americans, to taking kids who would normally have been put into work in factories into basic education programs. She contributed to causes that were working for freedom. And I lifted this up in my letter to you. If some of you read it, we do that here. When we share our plate with organizations doing the work of justice in the world, as we say on Sunday mornings, we are resisting tyranny by doing that. We are acting in collaboration in the good way for resistance. On Tyranny, 20 lessons from the 20th century. Can feel each time I read it, and I've read it a couple of times now, like we're repeating the same cycle over and over again. But it's also hopeful, because the final lesson on tyranny is be courageous. Be as courageous as you can. And I was reminded this week of two instances from the 20th century of people being courageous. And one was the woman, and I apologize, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, and I didn't write it down, who hid Otto Frank and his family, who found Anne Frank's diary on the floor after they were taken and took all of those families' belongings, including that diary, and kept it safe in the hope that the family would be able to return from them. And when Otto Frank returned from Auschwitz to find that he was the only survivor from his family, and he went back, and that woman who had kept them hidden for 2 years said, "I kept these for you, and I think this was Anne's." And Otto read what his daughter had written and made the decision to publish it as a record of the joy that can exist even when you're hiding and fighting for your life. But years later, when people were talking to the Dutch woman who hid them, they called her a hero, and she said, "No, don't call me that. If you call me a hero, it makes me seem special. It makes it seem as if what I did was extraordinary and only special people can do it, but anybody can do that. I am an everyday person who chose to be courageous and do something difficult. Be as courageous as you can." And I'm reminded, too, of another instance in the 20th century you're probably familiar with, the March on Selma in 1963, where 2 Unitarians were martyred. Unitarian Universalist minister James Reeb answered Martin Luther King's call for clergy to come, and he was beaten and died for his efforts there in Selma. But the other Unitarian who answered that call was Viola Luzzo, mother of 5 from Detroit, Michigan, active in the First Unitarian Church in Detroit, active in coalitions of interracial work in her own city. Viola Luzzo, who gave to good causes, who practiced corporal politics in her own city and in other places, came down to Selma, drove from Detroit, and helped get people to and from the march. And on the night she was returning from driving people home, a car full of Ku Klux Klan members followed them, shot into her car, and killed Viola Luzzo. And the FBI had a confidential paid informer in that car. And so to hide that person's identity, they did a smear campaign on Viola Luzzo. And her story wasn't as widely told because of that. But she practiced courage. She practiced resisting tyranny as surely as James Reeb did, as surely as Frances Harper did, as surely as Thoreau did, as surely as countless peoples whose names we do not know in history and that we do not know right now have done and are doing. Resistance. Resistance is vital, not necessarily, dear ones, because we are going to change everything overnight or even in this moment. Cole Arthur Riley, who is an African-American theologian I follow, she has the author of Black Liturgies, which I regularly use for services, wrote this beautiful thing, and I want to share it with you. Our resistance is not predicated on how likely it will be to alter the conscience of the oppressor. We resist to retain our own conscience and to awaken all others who are still in possession of their own souls. We resist to awaken all others who are still in possession of their own souls. Thoreau, Frances Harper in the 19th century, as they worked for abolition, they knew they weren't ever going to change the mind of Southern plantation owners and those who supported them. But they changed enough minds of people who were willing to work on the Underground Railroad, who were willing to make sure that Frederick Douglass became the most widely spoken and most photographed person of the 19th century. I'm not saying we don't do resistance because we hope somebody out there who's committing atrocities might indeed recognize what they are doing. I'm saying that can't be the only reason. That is fighting the fire with our rage, and we need to fight it with our love, the love for people who might actually say, this is enough. This death cult is too much, and I will resist it. I know it can feel like, and I've said this already, our actions are inadequate. It can feel like, what's the point of me giving to Planned Parenthood when they're just going to keep defunding them? What's the point of volunteering at the Daily Bread when people just get hungrier and hungrier? The point is not because we are going to change the systems, but because if we don't resist, the system is going to change us. And so we root in our values. We remember what they are. We connect to our communities. We remember that we are not alone. We do what is in our hands to do. We don't obey in advance. We put our bodies on the line when and if we can, and with courage and with each other, we keep our souls awake. Later today, there will be a rally here in Urbana-Champaign. It's organized by Indivisible Illinois, the ACLU of Champaign County, a couple of other organizations, answering a call nationwide for folks to gather and in some way say, enough is enough, defund ICE and get them out of our communities. And so if you are available and can, folks will gather in their cars. They'll do a caravan from Lincoln Square Mall down Springfield Avenue and up Prospect to Marketview Square, and at the Lowe's parking lot, folks will gather. If you can't join the caravan and just want to meet at the Lowe's around 2:30, you can. If you can't do either of those things, but you live somewhere on that route and want to cheer and shout and clap for the people who are doing it, then do. Because all of that matters. The resistance to tyranny matters. Because as we saw this week, whiteness is not going to protect anybody. Being middle class is not going to protect anybody, because what we have empowered and the oppression and tyranny and fascism we're facing right now says only some of us are human, and that's only a small minority of us. Nobody in this room is safe from that. But we have each other. We have our courage together. We will keep the gears of the machine moving as slowly as we can. We will keep our souls awake. We will resist for each other, because even though it is going to be a long road, and even though it's going to be a long night and a hard fight, we are here for each other. It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. We are walking this road together, UC. We are walking it with courage, with our values, and with deep, committed love for the world we know we can make possible. May it be so. And now will you rise in body or spirit? And with all the love in your heart, we are going to take one more step together on this hard road. We will sing hymn number 168 in our gray hymnal. One more step. We're going to close today, not with our typical chalice extinguishing words, which are in your order of service. Sorry, Alyssa, I'm doing an audible. You're welcome, football fans, for my one and only sporting reference. Many of you may have seen this poem by Nikita Gill. It has been shared widely on social media and in other places. So I offer this to us as our chalice extinguishing today and as a prayer as we head out into the world. The rage you are feeling comes from the same place inside your heart as the love. This is why you refuse to accept a world where cruelty reigns and the fire consumes all. You have known hope and joy and kindness like you have known water, and justice is a river that demands you do not give up on it.